In lesson 12.2 on page 477, we're going to start describing our data collection. How can you describe how a data set was collected? One way to describe a set of data is by stating the number of observations or measurements that were made. Another way is by listing the attributes that were measured. An attribute is a property or a characteristic of the item being measured, such as its color or length. Jeffrey's hobby is collecting rocks and minerals. The chart gives data on garnets he found during a recent mineral hunting trip. Identify the attribute being measured, the unit of measure, the likely means by which the measurements were made, and the number of observations. So garnet 1 has a mass of 7.2 grams. Garnet number 2 is 3.5, so roughly half the mass of this one in grams, and so on. Down to number 6, then the chart starts over again up here at number 7, all the way through 12. So he has a total of 12 garnets. All right, so describe the data set. Think, what property or characteristics of the garnets did Jeffrey measure? Take a look up there. All right, the attribute Jeffrey measured was the mass of the garnets. Right up here. The unit used to measure the mass of the garnets was grams. I know that because of the lowercase g right there. To measure the mass in grams, Jeffrey probably used a scale or a balance to weigh it, essentially. And the number of observations Jeffrey made is the number of garnets, which is 12. He observed 12 rocks. All right, so would Jeffrey likely have gotten the same data set if he had measured a different group, of garnets? If he had not this set, but a different set of garnets, would he have gotten the same data set? No. Obviously not. If they were different rocks, he'd get a completely different set of data. So garnets found in nature come in many different sizes and shapes. So more than likely, he would not find 12 new rocks identical to the other set. He's not going to find 12 more rocks that are exactly the same. All right, what other attributes of the garnets could Jeffrey have measured? Well, let's look. There's a variety of colors here, so he might have talked about the color. He might have talked about some of them have more clarity than others. Look how clear this one is compared to that one. So we might have talked about their clarity. He might have measured their length. he might have measured things like, this looks like it has other minerals in it, like that one. Doesn't it look like two separate kinds of minerals in this rock? Like half of them has something else going on there. So he might have also measured different minerals. There's just a huge assortment of different things he could have come up with. How about how the hardness, or how brittle they are if you tapped them? Do they break easily? There's all kinds of things you could have used for a data set. Measuring its mass, or essentially weight, is a relatively simple one, though. All right, so now we're going to collect a data set. In this activity, you'll work with other students to collect data on the length of the student's index fingers in your group. You will present data in the chart. So, describe the attribute you measure. You will measure. What unit will you use? So we're going to measure the length of students' fingers. If you're at home, maybe you could do it with family members. And you have to measure the same one. So we're going to use their index finger every time, okay? Can't measure a thumb and compare that to an index finger. You wouldn't, that would soil the data. You want to have all the same item for your data. Index finger in my group. You're going to use either inches or centimeters. Okay, so how are you going to make the measurements? So we'll use rulers to measure the length of our index finger. Let's say from the tip of the finger right there to where the finger joins the hand, right there. Okay, from the tip of the finger to the joint where the finger joins the hand. Okay, so describe what data you're going to record in your chart. So you're going to have the name of each student. Person, we're going to say person here because maybe they'll be family members. And the length of each index finger, and let's narrow it down to centimeters. We decided up here we're just going to go with centimeters, not inches after all. All right, in the space at the right, make a chart of your data. So you're going to draw a chart. You're going to start with names, This is the length of the finger. And you'll start with Mrs. Allen, and you're going to measure that finger. Let's get the ruler out. Okay, in centimeters. The joint where, so this is the joint where the finger meets the hand, and the tip of my finger, kind of discount the nail there, it's pretty close to 8 centimeters right there. So you're going to say 8 centimeters, and then you're going to go find the next person and do it to them. So, and then at the end you'll record how many observations you made and check your data. All right, so one of your classmates made 3 observations and another one made 10 observations to answer a statistical question. Who do you think arrived at a better answer to the statistical question and explain? Well, it's going to be the student who made 10 observations, because the more observations you have, the more you're going to see trends. With just 3, you're not going to get, you don't have enough data to really see patterns and trends. So we're going to say the student who, we're going to say with 10 observations. More observations. Mean you're more likely to see how the data set varies. You're going to see variations and trends with more data. All right, good luck with your PMT.